What was the biggest coincidence in history? In 1938, a baby fell out of a fourth-floor window and onto a man sweeping the street named Joseph Figlock. They were both injured, but survived. About 1 year later, the same baby fell out of the same window and was caught by Joseph Figlock. I hope Joseph kept it. It was probably safer with him. Alright, here you go, but next time, I'm keeping him. A British submarine and a French submarine accidentally bumped into each other under the ocean. They didn't know the other was there due to their stealth technology. I feel like, while bumping into each other accidentally sounds funny and all, that two pressurized underwater vehicles bumping into each other is not very good at all. In 1974, a taxi in Bermuda struck a man named Erskine Lawrence Eben who was riding a moped, killing him. Exactly 1 year later, the man's brother, Neville, died while riding the very same moped, on the very same street, after being struck by a taxi, driven by the same driver, carrying the same passenger. There were shipwrecks in 1664, 1785, and 1820 that each had one survivor. Each survivor was named Hugh Williams. Dude, he was a vampire, totally. The Germans of WWI spent a long time trying to disguise a ship, SMS Cap Trafalgar, as the RMS Carmania, only to send it out and have it run into the real RMS Carmania. It was promptly obliterated. This reminds me of Team Fortress 2, playing as spy and meeting someone you are disguised as. The first time I played TF2 I thought someone was just stealing my name. The brother of John Wilkes Booth saved Abraham Lincoln's son Robert's life the year before Lincoln was killed. That son of a bitch didn't send me a thank you card or anything. John Teal sorted him out, bro. Mark Twain being born when the Halley's Comet passed 1835 and predicting that he would die when it would pass again in 1910. Spoiler alert. He was right. He died on the exact day that the comet passed. Did he really die, or was he dropped off and picked back up? Or did he kill himself for the meme? Edgar Allan Poe published just one novel, The Narrative of Arthur Gordon Pym of Nantucket, released in 1838. The novel tells of a doomed Antarctic journey in which 4 shipwrecked crewmen decide to eat cabin boy Richard Parker in order to survive. In 1884, 4 crew members survived the shipwreckage of a vessel named the Mignonette. The survivors decided to eat their cabin boy in order to live. As fate would have it, that cabin boy's name was Richard Parker. In 1898 a novella written by Morgan Robertson was published. It was a story about an unsinkable ocean liner named Titan, which on a night of April was struck on its starboard side by an iceberg and was sunk in the North Atlantic, 400 nautical miles from Newfoundland. 14 years later it's 1912 and the unsinkable RMS Titanic departs from Southampton on its maiden voyage and is struck by an iceberg on the starboard side on the night of the 14th of April and sinks in the North Atlantic, 400 nautical miles from Newfoundland. In the 1912 he also wrote a story about a war between Japan and the United States. It starts with Japan attacking the U.S. naval base at Pearl Harbor on a Sunday morning and ends with the U.S. dropping sun bombs on Japanese cities. So he's a troll time traveler then. In the days leading up to the Allied invasion of Normandy, a British newspaper's crossword puzzle solution words correlated with the code names related to the attack. Words like Omaha, Utah, and even Overlord and Neptune. The coincidence scared British High Command so much that they arrested and interrogated the crossword's creator. The first man to die during the building of the Hoover Dam was J.G. Tierney, on December 20, 1922. The final man to die during the project was Patrick W. Tierney, his son, in 1935, also on December 20. John Adams and Thomas Jefferson both died on the same day, the 50th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence, July 4, 1826. And John Adams' last words were, "Thomas Jefferson still survives." Or so the story goes. My wife was born on January 27th. Her younger sister and brother also born on January 27th. Her mom had a twin. Her firstborn daughter, later than my wife, also born on January 2/th. All natural births. Not induced. She was special in so many other ways, but I thought this was pretty weird in a wonderful way. Poor dad, only getting laid once a year. You guys are getting laid? When Soviet archaeologists opened the tomb of Tamerlane, one of Genghis Khan's descendants and a conqueror in his own right, founder of the Timurid Empire. An inscription inside the casket was found, which read, "Whomsoever opens my tomb shall unleash an invader more terrible than I." 3 days after the tomb was opened and the body removed, Hitler invaded the Soviet Union via Operation Barbarossa, the largest military invasion of all time. To add to that, Tamerlane was reburied with full Islamic ritual in November 1942, just before the Soviet victory at the Battle of Stalingrad. Lincoln was shot in Ford's Theater. Kennedy was shot in a Ford Lincoln. Both were succeeded by President Johnson. In Limburg, the Netherlands, there is a tradition of an old, fantasy, military-style parade and marksman's competitions. Once a year all 150 or so guilds/association come together for one big festival which is called OLS, Old Limburgian Marksman's Festival. The winner gets to organize this festival to upcoming year. It is a big honor to win the marksman's competition, as it in groups of 6 and the marksmen have to hit every shot at a cubes as small as 0.5 x 0.5 x 0.5 cm at a distance of about 22 m until there is only one team left. One of the smallest townships, about 50 inhabitants, has won this competition twice. Once in 1914 and once in 1939. Twice it fucked shit up big time all over Europe. They have since disbanded their scooterage to prevent LOL. I just imagine the town of 50 people thinking that all that's standing between everyone and WW3. Not as much a coincidence as it is luck, but antibiotics was only discovered because the scientist that found it didn't clean his things. Serendipitous discoveries. Superglue was supposed to be a lubricant but did the opposite. The slightly sticky stuff on the back of a post-it note was supposed to be superglue. I remember reading somewhere that during World War II a son went to get enlisted and his mother went to help sewing life vests. The ship the son it's aboard it struck and sinks. What kept him alive was the life vest that his mother had sewn. They had the names of the women that sewed them. This is precious. Hitler, Trotsky, Tito, Freund, and Stalin lived in the same town in 1913 at one point. Wasn't a town. It was a city, Vienna. It was pretty much the place to be at the time. It could be compared to the modern-day flavor town. Guy Fieri was actually the mayor of Vienna in 1913 too. The guy who shot and killed Adolf Hitler was so named Adolf Hitler. Twins born in 1940 from Ohio, living 50 miles away from each other. Each grew up knowing nothing of the other's existence. They both were named James via adoptions. Sent both married women named Linda. Both ended up being police officers. Both each had one son. Both named their kid James Allen, vs James Allen. Both had a dog named Toy. Both got divorced. Both remarried women named Betty. Quantum entanglement is real. That we exist. Excellent. You win. Seth MacFarlane missing one of the 9/11 flights. Same with Mark Wahlberg. They both went on to star Ted. Napoleon tried to invade Russia. It was that winter that was the most brutal winter Russia has ever had in history. Hitler tried to invade Russia. But it was that winter that was the most brutal winter Russia ever had since Napoleon tried to invade it. It was even worse. Lesson? Don't invade Russia. Or if you do it in the spring to summer. Not fall to winter. Hitler and Napoleon both invaded Russia in June. Correction. Just don't invade Russia. I don't recall the details, but I believe the telephone was supposedly invented by two people in completely different parts of the world who had no contact with each other and each finished inventing it within days of each other. Excellent. I have invented the telephone. What a minute, why is my telephone number 2? Damn it. American writer Anne Parrish was in Paris at a bookstore and found a copy of an English-language children's book, Jack Frost and Other Stories. She hadn't seen a copy of it since she was a little girl and remembered it being her favorite, so she bought the copy and went to meet her husband at a nearby cafe. She explained to her husband how much she had loved the nursery rhymes as a child and began to recite some of them from memory. As he was leafing through the book, the pages turned to the inside cover, and written on the inside it said Anne Parrish and was followed by her childhood address. That over 13 billion years ago, the universe was created. Millions and trillions of years passed where everything was hotter than you could ever imagine. Eventually everything spread out and cooled down. Gases pooled together. Stars were formed. Stars died and exploded, sending matter all throughout the cosmos. That matter formed more stars, which exploded, which formed more stars which exploded. And on some of the matter from those exploding stars lies a planet just close enough, but just far enough away to be perfectly suitable for life. And many millions of years later, you're reading this on a screen, while you take a crap. That Lou Gehrig died from Lou Gehrig's disease. Lou, here's a disease with your name written all over it, Pell. True story. First hand. I have 3 children. Firstborn, January 24th, 93. Secondborn, July 5th, 96. Thirdborn, March 11th, 98. On the afternoon of each of their births, I ate lunch at a Chinese buffet. They were my jam back then, while mom and baby slept. 3 separate buffets, separate locations, separate owners, years apart. I received the same fortune in my after-meal cookie all 3 times. Share your joy with someone today. Sadly, only the third one was retained in my daughter's baby book.